Hi, Ro. It's Lori Wheeler. Remember me?
Lori! Oh my gosh, you were the best boss ever. I learned so much from you, Lori.
Oh, it's so good to see your name. I'm so glad to see you.
Sort of, kind of.
Yeah,
You're not really seeing me, but I'm so glad you're on this. How cool is that?
I look for your name a lot when we're doing trainings just to see if I can ever see you.
Oh,
Everything going well?
it's going great, Lori. Thank you for
Excellent.
asking. Are you
Excellent.
still at the two schools or did you expand even bigger?
No, I did not expand bigger. I passed on that endeavor. In fact, I gave up Aubrey Park. I'm just doing Irving right now,
Oh my goodness. How long ago did you give up Aubrey?
just during the pandemic.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I got hit hard with that, Lori. I haven't come back from it yet.
Yeah, I maintained pretty well. I'm just getting ready to retire. I'm 60 now, so I'm ready to.
You are so young. I'm going to be 59 in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, well,
I'd love
I'm
to retire.
I'm happy to downsize a little.
Yeah. If I retire, I have to leave my son in charge. That's why I'm not retiring.
Mm,
He's not ready yet.
he's not ready yet. He's
No.
working with you?
Oh my gosh, he's been my head teacher for years.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah. Nick, do you remember Nick? He's the
Of
older of
course
the
I
two.
do.
Oh, Lori, it's so good to talk to you. Sorry, everybody, that you're in our personal conversation.
We should exchange. You still have the same number? I have the same number.
I do. Okay, good. I know how to get in touch with you.
We should Zoom and catch up.
I would love to.
I'd love to show off my 3 grandbabies to you. Well, 2.
Oh
The other
my
one,
goodness.
the other one won't be here until February, but
That's so awesome. What a great life.
Ben has 3, 2.5 children, 2 3/4, 2 golden retrievers. He's got it made.
That's so awesome.
Good morning, everybody.
Good
Nice
morning.
that a few of us can catch up. We're going to go ahead and get started. And of course, my dogs are going to bark. Welcome. I'm so glad that we have so many of you here with us today. We have another session to do this all over again tomorrow evening. So just to let you know, it will be the same information. So if you registered for both, you are welcome to join us, but it will be the same. Let's see. We will. So we're here today to talk about the school age only rule set. It only applies to childcare centers that care for school age children. So we are here to support you, your program, and your staff. We're going to start with a little introduction. Christina, I'll let you start.
Hi, good morning. I'm Christina Christian. I'm a regional manager with the Office of Child Care for the Tualatin Field Office. I work with a team of 12 licensing staff that support and license child care programs throughout Washington, Tillamook, and Clatsop counties. I've been in the field of early childhood education for over 32 years. I started as a teacher's aide at a local preschool in Eugene, and also was a site director for an after-school program. Over the years, I've held many different positions and worked for many different organizations that ultimately led me here. And I'm proud to be helping support programs through childcare licensing. So welcome to the meeting today.
And hi, I'm Cheryl Myers. Some of you probably know me. I was previously a licensing specialist working out of the Eugene office. Now I am a senior licensing specialist with the Office of Child Care. But before all of that, I worked for the Lane County Resource and Referral Office as a quality improvement specialist. And during my career in the field, I've worked in child care centers, worked for Head Start, and I was also a home child care provider. Now my work for the Office of Child Care centers around creating resources and materials for child care programs and licensing staff that support consistency with implementation of the rules across the state. So that's what I do. During today's session, we're going to explain some of the key features of the Child Care Center rules. This is just an information session meant to call out some of the changes in rules and highlight some of the new rules for you. We hope you'll gain lots of information today and that we can answer all of the questions that you have. But please refer to the School Age Center rulebook for the full list of requirements and specific rules. Also available starting January 1st, 2023, there will be a webinar video series available on our website that will provide an overview of the rules by each section. And those will be more in depth than we have time to cover today. So let's look at the agenda for today's session. We're going to give an introduction to the Certified Child Care Center rules. Why is it changing? I didn't touch anything. And the Oregon administrative rules. We're going to give an overview of important changes in several sections: positions and qualifications, program and staff records, training requirements, creating a climate for healthy child development, behavior and guidance, prevention and management of hazards, and evacuation drills. And after our presentation, we will have, sorry, I'm not sure what it's doing because I didn't set up time. Okay, and after our presentation, we will have a Q&A session where hopefully we can address anything that you think of today that we weren't able to cover. But just remember, while we're covering the key points today, that there's no way that we could cover all of the rules. So please make sure you refer to the School Age Center rulebook for the full list of requirements. Christina, why is it?
It's, if you're doing slideshow, it might be automatically doing things.
Oh.
Take it out of the slideshow mode.
Okay, that's weird.
And then just open up the slide deck.
Well, that didn't work.
Thanks, Holly. We're trying.
It's I think we had too much help with this.
Catherine has a question. I'm going to go ahead and answer it in the
Good.
chat. She's asking if you do school age and preschool age, do these rules not apply, or changes don't take effect if you care for younger as well? That is correct. These rule sets apply only to programs that specifically care just for school age children. So your center license would indicate school age children. So if you don't care for anybody under school age, then you would stay under the regular certified center rules.
Did it stop sharing?
It did.
Oh no. Sorry about that. Jeez.
Here we go.
Okay. So
Okay, here we go. So we are going to do this slide now. So what are the certified school age child care? And you'll see these in parentheses SC, just kind of the shortened version for this rule set of rules. Well, the certified school age child care rules, they're a new set of rules that applies to centers that only care for school age children. Centers that also care for younger children must continue to follow the certified center rules. The purpose of the new rules that are specific to school age only programs is to protect the health, safety, and well-being of school age children when cared for outside of their own homes, with requirements that are appropriate for a center that provides care for school age children only. This new rule set can also be found on the Oregon Secretary of State's website under the Oregon Department of Education, Early Learning Division, Chapter 414, Division 310 for certified school age centers. They can also be found on the Early Learning Division's website. So if you go to www.oregonearlylearning.com, you'll find the rule sets there. I'm going to drop both of those links in the chat so that you have them. And I think we're ready to move forward.
So on the previous slide, we mentioned the Oregon administrative rules, or often reduced to OARs. During this session, we may refer to a specific rule number or section within the rules. Let's take a few minutes to talk about what the OAR numbers mean. Let's use 414-310-0190 as an example. So on this slide, you'll see the number highlighted from the content section of the certified school age only rule set right here. The first part of this number is the agency chapter number. So in our example, 414 refers to the early learning division, and all childcare rule sets start with 414. The second part of the number is the division number. In our example, 310 tells you that this is the certified school age rule set. Each early learning division or ELD rule set has a unique division number. So on this slide is an example of some of the ELD rule sets. See, certified family is division 350, division 310 school age rules, and then 300 are the certified center rules. So all of these rule sets are located on the Oregon Secretary of State website, which is where this link comes from. And you can find that in the chat where Christina just added it. The third and last part of the OAR number is the specific rule section. So in our example, 0190 is the rules section for children's records in the certified school age childcare centers. Oh, did I move on there too quickly for you, Christina?
Oh, got it. Sorry. So for the school age center rules, they define a school age center as a child care center that provides care only for school age children eligible to be enrolled in kindergarten or above in the next school year, and which does not include night care. So just taking a quick little look here, night care specifically means care given between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. or when an enrolled child sleeps for more than 3 hours at a center. And that's a specific point there. If night care is being offered, then regular center rules would apply. Or I should just say not regular, but like you would fall under certified center rules versus school age only. Sorry for that. So let's review some key highlights and changes. Over the next few slides, we're going to review some of the changes to the rules and some that are new to the school age center rule set. And just a reminder, this is just a limited overview, so not all rules will be reviewed today. Please remember to refer to the rule book for the complete list of rules. You can also access those from that Secretary of State website. The full list of rules is on there as well. So some important changes. First here, school age centers must have written approval by a state or local fire code official within the last 2 years of the renewal date. So this is a change. Fire inspections in certified centers are currently completed once a year. But under the school age center rules, a fire inspection will happen every 2 years. Many of the notification timelines have also changed. So for example, notifications around reporting serious injuries or incidents, those must be reported to the Office of Child Care within 24 hours or by the next business day. Previously, this had a timeline of within 5 days. There are additional notifications that are covered further, that will be covered further in the webinar series. And of course, again, all the full details are found in the rule book.
So as you can see from this slide, there are many policies in the child care or in the school age only centers that will need to be in place for your programs. The Office of Child Care has created a resource list of the required policies to help. And each school age only program should review the full list and make sure that you have written policies for each of the topics. Sharing information with staff, volunteers, and parents about your policies is required, of course. And this will be much easier if you cover all of them in your staff, volunteer, and parent handbooks. So some of the changes to the required policies include having policies around safety measures, such as injury prevention, use of pesticides and other potentially toxic substances, animals or pets that may be on site, if you have any, water activities, and prohibited substances and weapons. And the policy can be as simple as, we don't have any of those things present, but it is important to address them. Another policy that your program will need to have is center-sponsored religious and cultural activities, if any, including how holidays will be recognized. And this policy supports transparent communication with families. Parents and caregivers who know more about the program's activities and celebrations will be able to make more informed decisions on if the program is a good fit for them. And in addition, communication methods and notifications. So how parent grievances, questions, or concerns are handled by the center. And a plan to ensure safety of children who are using the restroom or completing a task separate from the group without supervision. So these are just some of the policies that are in the rules, and make sure you check out the full list, or look for our resource doc that we will have available on our website.
So let's review some of the positions and qualifications. This is new. School age centers will now have 3 position titles. We have program leader, assistant program leader, and program coordinator. Program leaders are responsible for the supervision of their assigned group of children, the supervision of any assistant program leaders and volunteers, and responsible for maintaining compliance with all school age center rules and all conditions on the license when the program coordinator is not present. The assistant program leader must be at least 15 years old, and they either need to be within sight and sound of a staff person who meets qualifications of a program leader if under 18 years of age, or be within sight or sound of a staff person who meets qualifications of a program leader if they are age 18 and older. And then the program coordinator designates a program leader for each site. They may also serve as a program leader if certified for less than 45 children. And program coordinator must be available by phone at all times during childcare hours. There's additional information on position qualifications and training requirements that you can find in the rule book. And we will further review those again in the upcoming webinar video series. Also, we will have resource documents available on position qualifications that you can use to document how each person qualifies for their position.
So another part of program records are one of the rule sections in this rule set. Children's records, you must have the parent or guardian review, update, and sign or initial the enrollment form at least annually. Most programs do this, but we're just asking that that they sign or initial so that there's some tracking on having them keep them up to date. In personnel records, if the program has multiple sites, each location must have a paper or electronic file on site for each person working at that location. So the records at the site must include staff qualifications for the position they hold, verification that the staff is currently enrolled in the CBR, and documentation that staff has completed an orientation, first aid and CPR training, and food handler certifications as appropriate. The complete personnel file with the additional records not listed may be kept and stored at the program's main location as long as they're available upon request. So staff records can be maintained for each staff person in paper or electronic form and must be available to the Office of Child Care upon request, like I said. One of the new rules under the records is that a statement signed by and dated by the employee showing that they have access to the center's policies and rules for the certification of child or school-age childcare centers must be included in their employee file. So basically, what we want to see is that staff know where they can access the rules, they have access to them, and they know that they're expected to follow them.
So additional requirements for staff files and documentation and training include an orientation. Staff records must include evidence of participation in an orientation. And this part's new. All staff must have an orientation within the first 10 days of hire. So OCC has created a tool specifically to help with documentation of an orientation for the school age center rules, including all the items that an orientation must address with new employees. There is just an example. Here is a screenshot. This is one of the document tools that's been created. This form itself would not be required. You can use your own orientation form. Just this document actually covers all the things that would be required to show as evidence in the employee file. So we wanted to try to create resources that were supportive and helpful. Initial training for staff. So program coordinators must provide verification to ORO that they have obtained 10 hours of training in the core knowledge category of program management, or they must obtain the 10 hours in their first year of hire. Initial training now includes the Foundations for Learning, which must be completed within 90 days of hire. This is the same requirement as for other licensed programs. Current staff and licensed programs must complete that class by December 31st, 2022. We also, again, have a resource document that gives an overview of the training requirements for school-age centers, for only school-age centers. It is pictured here, and all resources or tools will be available starting January 1st on our website. So we're going to post these resources so they're available to you.
So the next rule section that we're going to talk about today is creating a climate for healthy child development. And this is definitely a new section that is not yet in the other rule sets. So you'll want to make sure you review it in its entirety. The new rule states when communicating or interacting with children, a school-age center must ensure staff maintain a climate for healthy, culturally responsive child development. The center must ensure staff encourage positive interactions between and among the children. And of course, there are examples of what this can look like that are included in the rule. Please review the rules in section 414-310-0380. And if you have any questions, please partner with your licensing specialist when implementing these rules. One of the examples that is listed in this section is staff modeling for children. So be sure to check that out. There's a lot of great information in there.
Behavior and guidance strategies focus on positive guidance to help children develop self-control, self-direction, and respect for others. We have in the rules suggested the following positive guidance strategies. Setting up the environment for success with engaging activities that encourage positive behavior and self-regulation. Reinforcing positive behaviors with encouragement and descriptive praise. Supervising actively, taking steps to prevent problems before they occur, and explaining safe, natural, and logical consequences related to a child's behavior. Helping children recognize and appropriately express their feelings and understand the feelings of others. Modeling and teaching social skills such as taking turns, cooperation, waiting, treating others kindly, and problem solving. And redirecting or helping a child change their focus to something appropriate when their behavior is unacceptable.
Did I go too early for you?
Nope, you're good. You're good. So I was just making sure, like referencing my notes, and I'm good. So this is something new. So this is physical restraint protocols. So a school-age center must have written physical restraint protocols. The center must implement such protocols only when appropriate and after complying with all requirements of behavior and guidance and prohibited discipline. A school-age center must document and report any incident when physical restraint is used. Physical restraint must only be used if a child's safety or the safety of others is threatened and must be limited to holding a child as gently as possible to accomplish restraint, limited to the minimum amount of time necessary to control the situation, must be developmentally appropriate, and only performed by a staff member trained in the program's child restraint protocols. Physical restraint protocols, there's just some additional information around them. So a staff member must not use any bindings, ties, blankets, straps, or heavy weights, including an adult sitting on a child, to physically restrain children. A staff member must intervene if they observe another staff member using inappropriate restraint techniques. Part of your protocols must include that physical restraint incidences have to be reported to the Office of Child Care. They are required to be reported within 24 hours or the next business day. On this slide, you can see an example of a form. Again, this is a documented tool we've created to help support this reporting process. It does include all the information that must be reported to the Office of Child Care. And at the bottom also has a little box to notate when you reported that information, who you reported it to, and the time that you made that report.
So one of the other rule sections, of course, is preventing and managing hazards. A school-age center and each staff person must recognize, address, or remove potentially dangerous items and situations using protective barriers to prevent children's access as needed. So staff must take responsibility to inspect the indoor and outdoor play areas and equipment daily for hazards, such as missing parts or broken equipment, sharp edges, splinters, and trash. And ultimately, safety is everyone's responsibility. So this ties back into, asking staff to sign that they know where the rules are, that they have access to them, because really the rules are everyone's responsibility. So along the same lines, a school-age center must ensure that all toxic or potentially dangerous items, such as cleaning supplies and equipment, poisonous and toxic materials, and flammable and corrosive materials are stored in a manner that prevent use or access by children. So toxic substances must be stored separately from medication, food service equipment, and food supplies.
Now we're going to take a look just at evacuation drills because there's some key changes here as well. So another new rule is that an emergency evacuation drill must be conducted within the first 10 days of the school year or within the first 10 operating days after initial licensure of the program if it's not operating at the beginning of the school year. This ensures that children and staff are prepared for an emergency right from the start of the school year. Fire drills must still be completed monthly, plus another aspect of the emergency plan every other month. Your emergency plan can include many other things like earthquake drills and high wind drills, lockdown drills. It can also include staff emergencies and child emergencies. So be sure you can include those as your other aspects that you practice in your documentation for your every other month.
So the additional rule sections that we haven't talked about today, you can see here. Please be sure to completely read the school age only rule book for all requirements. We did not have time to talk about, excuse me, medications, meals and snacks, food service, transportation, all of these areas are included in the rule set. Additionally, the webinar series will cover all of these sections that were not covered today.
So what do you need to do right now? Well, please don't worry. Your program does not need to do anything before January. You will continue to operate under current rules for certified child care centers until January, and then you will begin operating under the new rules for school age only child care centers. Your current license remains active until you are issued your next license. In the meantime, continue reading the rule book, watch our website for additional resources and the new webinar series. Remember that we're here to support you during this process. If you have any questions, please reach out to your licensing specialist for support. The Office of Child Care will work with you on the implementation of changes and provide technical assistance during the transition. So when are the rules effective? Well, certified school age centers will be effective January 1st, 2023. All currently licensed school age centers will receive a printed copy of the new rule book in the mail before then. Somebody had asked in the chat, and they have been sent via mail. They went out in November. I know there's holidays and things, but if you haven't got one, I would just reach out to your licensing specialist and request a copy. They can send one to you if you didn't get one yet. So be sure to do that. I think before you have to do it, yeah, that's pretty much it. Sorry, Cheryl, I'm good on this slide. And then coming in January, we will have a webinar video series on the new school age rules. These are pre-recorded videos that will be posted to our website. This series will provide an overview of the rules, explain key features and how rules are organized, and highlight any additional changes in the rules or new rules. Just takes a little bit more of an in-depth look and goes through them. Each video series covers certain sections, and you'll see it'll be titled by section so you can identify which ones you want to review. There's a total of 13 that will be posted.
So now we have time set aside to answer questions that we didn't answer in the presentation. I believe we have Allison Delory that agreed to monitor the chat and feed us some questions.
Yes. Cheryl, there's some from earlier in the presentation.
Okay.
One that I think you touched on, but would be helpful just to repeat for people. Can you clarify school age and eligible for kindergarten in the next school year?
Yes. So at the end of the school year, the kids that will be attending in the fall become school age. So 5 years old, going to school in the fall, they're considered eligible for public school and school age. So if the program only provides care for kids that are attending or will attend school in the fall, then that would be considered a school age only program.
Thank you. Next one, is there any way to come out from under early ed licensing without terminating the center certification? So to certify a summer camp under school age, but during the school year still have the ELD certification or dual licensing at the same site?
There are requirements around exemption from licensing. So the summer program would need to meet those requirements and be conducted separately from the certified center program. So that's definitely something that you would want to talk to your licensing team about, and they can help with all of the details and how that works and what would be appropriate based on the particular program.
Cheryl, I'm going to jump in here. Hi,
Yeah,
everybody.
please.
I'm Elisa Gardner. I'm the Office of Child Care Director. The answer to your question, Brooke, is that no, you may not have two different licenses at one site. If you are serving children that are under age 5 that are not eligible to be enrolled in kindergarten, you must have a certified center at that site. If you choose to close that license and then reapply as a school age center in the summertime, that is an option that you can choose. However, that will mean that you have to close your license mid-year and go through the application process once again in order to open that school age only center, and then the different rules will apply. We also have different qualifications from center-based care where we're serving younger children as well as school age. So you will have to think about that for the staffing that you have on site for those changes. So the option is that you could withdraw your license, close your license for certified center, and then open up school age, but you cannot have two licenses at the same site.
And also, Alicia, they could, if they had a separate location, a different site, you could have a certified center at one location and operate a school age only site at a different location. So you have that option as well. But I just wanted to point that out, that if you were able to find a different location for the school age only program, you could do that.
Absolutely. If you have a different address where you are planning on serving ages 5 through 12, you may open a separate license at that site.
Great. Thanks, Alicia.
Next question is going back to early in the presentation related to CBR. Sean asked, is that 10 days within hire or within start date? We often offer positions before staff are enrolled in CBR, and delays in CBR processing regularly go beyond 10 days, preventing new staff from being on site.
Yeah, you can clarify this with your licensing specialist, but we would look at when they started at the program, like as when they started working at the program. If you hired them and they were hired on a particular date, but their start date wasn't until, and we have the ability to clarify those two dates on our end to make sure we have documentation for both. We would go by that start date for the 10-day timing of that orientation.
Christina. Next one. What about school-based programs where there are custodians that are scheduled to do this work and protected under union? And I think, Stephanie, please clarify. I think this was around when we were talking about restraints.
Yeah, I'm not sure what custodian is referring to.
I'm wondering if that individual can come off mute and clarify their question.
Got it. Stephanie
Oh.
just updated around cleaning hazards.
Yeah, it was around cleaning hazards and items on the playground that may be, dangerous for kids to be around.
Yeah, that really comes down to you. So there's certain things that you don't have control over when you're operating in a public school, and the public school has their items. I think you do a couple of things. One, you partner with the school as much as possible. But in those situations, it's really going to boil down to more a supervision than it is securing those items that the school is in charge of, and how you protect the children and keep them safe around, say, an open janitorial door that's in the hallway that you guys have to walk past every single day that's filled with hazards and cleaning and what have you. It really does boil down to supervision at that point, because those are not your program's responsibility to secure those hazards. But I also would recommend just talking to the school about what is the potential for closing that door after school, or looking at options like that as well.
And that's another thing, based on feedback from programs, there are several rules in this rule set that address the differences that happen when you're in a public school setting and don't have control over certain aspects like the playground. So you'll want to take a look for those too, because they were written to help programs that must operate under the parameters of a larger school. So.
And I'll also add that in the school age only rule set, we did significant engagement with school age program providers, and we did remove many rules related to toxics and hazards and the very strong requirements that we have for younger ages. In particular, because of the public school settings that many of these programs are in, we just ask that you try your best to keep them inaccessible to the kids when you are operating, recognizing that there are many times when programs in public schools don't have a lot of control over what is going on in that public school.
We have a couple of questions related to positions and qualifications. I wonder if we could go back to that part of the presentation. One asks, are the qualifications for each title changed? And another, in terms of staff position requirements, are the hours and education requirements different in the new year?
So yes, the position titles have changed, and those will need to be adjusted accordingly. Let me see if I can find those. And what was the second part of the question, Allison? I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. In terms of staff position requirements, are the hours and education requirements different in the new year?
The question's really about
what's
how do
required.
they qualify for the position, and then what are the training hour requirements, correct? Is that what we're asking, I think?
I think
That's
so.
how I'm reading it. Christina, Tatiana,
Okay.
feel free to come off mute if there's more.
All right, hold on just 1 second. I'm gonna pull up information. So requirements for program coordinators.
If we're asking about annual training hours, what I can tell you is the amount of training hours annually has not changed. For program coordinators, you will do 15 hours per year. Program leaders will be 15 hours per year with the 8 hours of child development under both of those. Assistant program leaders do not have to do ongoing training.
I think the
would also-
question,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think the question is, so like a school age teacher typically has 600 hours of work experience to be qualified for that position, or 30 credits in the field. So what are the qualifications for these specific positions?
Yep, I'm pulling that up to answer. So here we go. So program coordinator must be at least 21 years of age. They must meet the initial and annual training requirements. They must have at least 1 year of experience supervising adults and have verifiable knowledge of child development for school-age children, as evidenced by a combination of professional references, education, experience or training, or completion of the training listed in table 1 within 90 days of hire. And table 1, just a second, I don't have that up yet. Cheryl, table 1's not in the Secretary of State website. Do you have it handy by chance?
I can pull it up.
I'm sorry for that. I thought that it was there.
No, they're hard to display on the website. Hold on just a second.
While she's grabbing that, let me just quickly go through the other ones. So for program leaders, they must be at least 18 years of age, meet the initial and annual training requirements, meet the experience and training qualification requirements for this assigned age group for the group of children in the program leader's care in one of the options listed in table 2. So we'll go over table 2. Maybe we can screen share those tables. And then a school age center's substitute program leader must meet program leader qualifications, understand the program leader responsibilities, be familiar with the certification requirements, have access to all records, and be authorized and able to correct deficiencies.
Mm,
And then assistant program leaders have to be at least 15 years old. And the assistant program leaders is exactly as it is outlined here. In addition, they must meet initial training requirements.
You were looking for table 2.
Yes, and 1. Thank you, Alicia.
Can you see that on my screen? Or is it sharing?
It is not.
Okay. Of course it's not. Let me. Okay, so you should be able to see it now.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
this is table 2 for the program leaders.
So
And
the
then-
options here, they have option 1, 60 hours of experience working in the program and completion of 20 clock hours of training completed within the last 5 years, focused on school age childcare that meets the following core knowledge category, core knowledge criteria. So they have to have 5 hours in understanding and guiding behavior, 5 hours in learning environments and curriculum, 5 hours in human growth and development, and 5 hours in program management. Option number 2 is at least 240 hours of qualifying experience working with school-age children in the last 5 years in a certified child care center or comparable group care program. Option number 3, at least an AA degree in one of the following study areas. So early childhood education, child development, elementary ed, special ed, physical ed, recreation, human development, child and family studies, home economics. And option 4, they can be at least a step 8 in the Oregon registry.
And then was table 1?
Table 1, please. Table 1. So, yep, that's it. Perfect. So they have to have, if you read D, have verifiable knowledge of child development for school-age children as evidenced by a combination of professional references, education, experience or training, or completion of the training listed in table 1 within 90 days of hire. So they can do this within 90 days, which is completion of 20 clock hours of training completed in the 5 categories here below. So they've got understanding guiding behavior again, learning environments and curriculum, human growth and development, and program management, 5 in each of those.
Hopefully that
Does
answers.
that help?
You're getting a thumbs up, and there's a couple follow-up questions in the chat. Will there be more training available that is school age specific? And does that mean that some program coordinators will stop being eligible for the position in January? Or will the trainings be available for us to complete?
I can take that
You're
first
talking
question.
about, go ahead.
So as the first question related to, will there be more training available that is school age specific? When we wrote these rules, we modeled them after an exception that Office of Child Care already had developed and created. And in creating that exception for school age teachers, in looking at the 20 clock hours of training, we did do research to determine if there is sufficient amount of school age specific training out there available for providers and teachers to take in order to be successful with this. And we did determine that there is sufficient training. If you look to the internet, there's a lot of virtual training out there that is related to school agers, and we'll give you that certificate in Oro with the designation of school age. And we do have a resource list for that we can make available. So that I hope answers your question. OCC does not oversee training. That is something that we look to the CCR&Rs as well as Oregon Ask, and also just community-based training opportunities. So I would say look for that resource list, and we'll provide it for you if you're feeling like you're having trouble finding training in order to get these individuals qualified.
And I can get that resource list put up on the website where our other resources will be posted soon.
Cheryl, we've got just a couple minutes left. I want to make sure there's 2 questions related to sort of the mixed age group model again. I think
Yes.
clarifying one more time before we end. So one question, if your center is approved to operate preschool and an after-school care, but they're separate groups and students, should you follow the school age rules for school age and center rules for preschool?
No, those programs, that certified center, if they provide care for preschool children and school age, will only follow the certified center rules. So we're not asking programs to follow multiple rule sets at the same time. And we are in the middle of doing a rule revision for certified centers. So
Great.
Soon the other rule sets will catch up.
Great. And another related, so a Head Start wraparound type program in a public school, what rules should they use? So childcare serving Head Start wrap.
So if the children are enrolled in Head Start, then they're preschool aged. So they would be following the certified center rules.
Great. And Another in the chat, will there be a resource to share with families explaining major rule changes, or is that something individual programs should create as we adjust to the new rules?
So the rules, unfortunately, there's no great way to write a summary of all the rule changes, partly because this rule set is organized completely differently. And it's written in a different way, intentionally to be more in plain language. So the rules should be easier for families to read and understand and staff to use and understand, just by the way that it's written. So you can't go through the old rule set and the new rule set and just show how what's changed, because it's all changed and it's all organized differently. In the old rule set, there were a lot of duplication, and this rule set doesn't have that. So no, we're not going to have a summary document of all of the changes, but families are more than welcome to watch the webinar video series, or one of them if there's a particular area that they're curious about. We're happy to help explain the rules to staff if they need that, and answer questions so that they can feel better prepared to answer parents' questions.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Yeah.
And a couple questions just kind of related to next steps for people. There's questions when the videos will be on the website. Stephanie, thanks for putting in the chat that Oregon Ask is also working for trainings to address specific school age program trainings. So can you just tell programs when this recording will be available, the webinars on the website? What do they do if they still have questions after today?
Well, so the webinar series will be available January 1st. We're working on getting those finalized. Christina's been working hard on those. So we'll get them up as soon as we get them finalized, but definitely by January. Next steps, just review the rules. Keep a list of questions that you have. You can email your licensing specialist or reach out to one of us. Literally January 1st, yes. Sorry, Holly, I wasn't sure what you were asking.
A couple of things. I think one thing, the rules go into effect in January, but we are prepared to help support programs as they transition to the rules, right? So we understand there's going to be many changes and many things happening that we need to help programs through the process. So it's not like January 1, like a switch is flipped and everything is, we understand there's going to be some transition period here, and we're prepped and ready and ready to help support people through that process. The videos, as soon as we can get them posted, we'll get them posted. If we can get some of them up before January 1st, we will do that. I think there's things that we will be continuing. There's still questions coming. There's still lots of things to figure out. We know that. We understand that. And we're working as hard as we can to get things ready to go. But we also don't want to post something that doesn't support you either. So I think additionally, this information session and Wednesday's information session are, there's been lots of questions I've seen, are the slides available? Will this recording be available? Yes, they're getting posted to the website. So this can also be a resource, and you can, direct staff and parents to view this. There, you can direct parents to the website. The rules are posted to the website. They can open up the website and look at the rules too, if that helps with communicating to parents. So I think there's a few different things that are already there and ready to go that you can help support staff and families in getting familiar with and knowing the rules.
And we will have many resource documents for program to help programs transition to these rules that will be available on the website very soon. So we are at time, so I want to make sure and respect everybody's schedules. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a great opportunity to get started talking about this rule set, and send us any questions that you have. Hopefully we can answer those very soon. Is there anything else that you wanted to add, Alicia, to wrap up?
Only that we're incredibly excited to roll this new rule set out. It's been a long time coming for school age only providers, and we hope that you find that it affords you all some additional flexibility. We really did draft this rule set with the intent to make things easier for these programs to operate, as well as clarify which rules actually apply to you versus when you're working with younger children. So this rule is intentionally built for those who are serving school agers only. We recognize it as a different age group and a different set of places that you're working. Many of the times these programs are found in public schools. And so we did do quite a bit of drafting of rules to ensure that there are flexibilities for those programs. And like I said, lean on your licensing specialist if you have questions about these rules. We are here to support you in learning them as we go in learning about how you're implementing them ourselves. I really feel like this is a partnership between us as we move forward with these rules to see how best they are serving providers and how well they work in your programs. So thank you all for joining. I really do appreciate your time and attention to this, and I look forward to the future with you all.
Also, just want to invite everybody. I threw up a survey link in the chat, and please take a few moments, click the link, fill out the survey. We'd really love your feedback so we can continue to look at this way of doing things and just to improve. So please take a few minutes, click that link, complete the survey for us, and provide us some feedback. It's valuable to us. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody.